name is Noni Matikela. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today, let's look at the evidence of the phone records and the bank statements that don't make sense. Let's do that when it comes to this video. Let me explain this in plain language because once you understand the basics, a lot of what is being claimed just falls apart. This is not about politics of the Senzo Meyiwa case. It's not about choosing sides, and it's definitely not about complicated legal talk. It's about how phones work, how banks work, and how time works. Let's start at the beginning, the cell phone story, right? I'm doing these videos for us people who are not in these, these industries, but we go and research and find out what are these things, and you speak to industry experts when it comes to certain issues. So the cell phone story is, some people are claiming that Untanzi called Umjiako. We see the comment section also. Others are saying Untanzi told him, please call me. Okay, he sent Abo, please call me. Others says there was a call back. Here is the simple truth when you are listening to what Baloyi is doing there. Everything that he is giving there, none of that happened. None of that happened because, why am I saying that? Untanzi never sent please call me. Untanzi never called Mjiako. Mjiako never received a call from Untanzi. There was no cell phone communication at all. If you are watching and listening to what is happening in that control, everything that is being read there, it goes back to what who's this man, the late Mgomezulu, used to say, fabrication. Even Umshololo loved the word fabrication. Now, here's the part most people don't know. The number, Unjabulo spoke about this, the number being used as proof was not a personal cell phone number of Umjiako. It was a contract number with Vodacom. And that matters a lot. A contract number does not mean someone had a phone in their hand making calls. It does not prove calls were made. It does not prove calls were received. So when someone builds a story around calls and callbacks using a contract number, the story collapses immediately. You can't prove a phone call that never existed. Okay? The date that breaks everything. I wish Njabulo was here, but I'm gonna do the video anyway without him. The date that is the 24th of June 2024 when it comes to together with the story of Umjiako. Let's talk about the date that changes. Alice, no, I'm saying 2024. It was the 24th of June 2020. On that day, Umjiako started a new job at the city of Johannesburg. He was officially given a laptop that day, an access card, and his work credentials. And it is there on his LinkedIn. I don't know if it's still there, but it used to be there on his LinkedIn that he worked for the city of Johannesburg. That's normal onboarding of someone. There's no secret there, nothing suspicious. But guess what? Here is why that matters. Umjiako works for the city of Johannesburg. I don't know what you're going to do with that information, but he works for the city of Johannesburg. And guess who was working there at that time? Yes, General Sibiya was working there. I don't know what that means, but calculate and come out with whatever you want to come out with. Because of that, on the 23rd of June, Umjiako could not have been the one in the way people are now claiming, could not have been the person that he could have never been where you call to a certain police station to visit Ntanzi. The timeline does not fit. The events people are trying to make suspicious only make sense when you understand that he was starting a new job on the 24th of June 2020. That morning, he reported at City of Johannesburg. If what that means, I don't know. Figure it out. And I'm not here to tell you anything. I'm just telling you the details. And then The afternoon, he went and presented Undanzi. He went and presented Undanzi. When the timeline doesn't work, the allegation doesn't work, Gesan. Because now he had worked with some of these people before. He had worked at Crime Intelligence, Abo Kininda, Abo Baloyin, Abo Bebekwa NPA. So what do you mean? If someone was a legal advisor of Crime Intelligence, what do you mean that they won't know him? Do you understand? Do you understand? So please stick to one thing. He starts a job on the 24th of June 2020 there by the city of Johannesburg. Sibiya is working there by the city of Johannesburg. Ndanzi must do a confession in the afternoon in Boksburg Court. What does that even say? Figure it out. Figure it out. Now let's talk about the bank statement. This is something very ordinary, a very ordinary person understands. A real bank statement does not show the ID number. It does not show your full account number. It masks sensitive information. Why? Because if the statement lands in the wrong hands, your identity must still be protected. That's banking 101. That is absolutely basic banking. Now, here's the problem. The statement being discussed there by Judge Ratta's court show things they should never show. They have missing dates. They have unexplained blank spaces. And that is not how legitimate bank statements work. And once the statements like that are used publicly, the bank has no choice but to step in. Why the banks are now getting involved? Banks like Capitec didn't respond emotionally. They responded legally. In fact, they will respond legally because they were tagged online on Twitter. So when the bank says we will respond in due time, that doesn't mean they are relaxed. It means legal review, compliance checks, risk assessment. In other words, something triggered their system. So they need to go and check what is happening. If the bank is going to be told that there are people that are manipulating bank statement of your clients, they need to go and triple check what is happening with that. They need to go and check what is happening with that. Now, they are going to seal the bank account, of course. Now, this part is very important because the bank, Ndanzi's bank profile was accessed while he was in custody. In 2023, there were updates that were done on his profile, perhaps. Because of that, the bank is now sealed by a court order. But now, if Ndanzi is there, like today, they went home early. Even the lawyer with the power of attorney cannot access his statement. But if Ndanzi is there, the bank have no right to withhold that information. They must give it. All of this matters. It is not about anything else. It's about phone records being misunderstood and misused. It's about bank statements that don't follow basic rules. It's about timelines that don't match the reality. And it's about data that may have been accessed and altered improperly. If that can happen here, it can happen to anyone, Gesan. Okay, so that is why now we need Ndanzi to be taken to a bank or a bank official to come and meet with Ndanzi and his lawyer so that there is an understanding of what is happening. When the phone records don't exist, when the timeline doesn't fit, and when the bank statement doesn't follow basic banking rules, the story collapses. Something is wrong here. That's not an opinion. That is how facts work. But we will see what's going to happen. We'll see feedback that will come. Anyway, what are your thoughts when it comes to all of this? Let's check the comment section. I'll see you. Bye-bye.